Yeah, so I don't know if this is a good story or not. I don't know if this is a comedy or a tragedy, but
Right.
and I briefly had sent you a text about it, but you didn't have the full story. And I'll keep some things vague, not to completely throw anybody under the bus. But in my work, I work in construction, and I'm trying to order a product. And this story starts back in November. I have not ordered this product before. Some people in my office have. They've worked with this company, and I sent in the measurements. You've got to get it exact. And this lady, we're going to call her Nancy's probably. Nancy puts your mind in the right place for who we're dealing with.
Okay.
She sends me back. I send her the measurements. She sends me back the approvals to say, hey, does everything look good? And every email I've ever gotten from this Nancy is it's weird. Or not every email, but when she sends me files, it like comes over in this weird format thing, and I've like, this is a kind of a weird attachment, like whatever. And it's like SBiz Hub, and I'm like, why is everything always labeled like this? What's going on? But whatever.
Like a PDF.
It is a PDF, but the file name's weird.
Okay.
And then it was forwarding from a different service. We'll get there. I know what's going on now.
Okay.
But anyway, I opened up these approvals back in November, and I'm like, they're blurry. Like I gave you clear numbers. You're sending me back something that I'm supposed to say everything looks good. And that, like, just for example, like if I'm supposed to read like, oh, that's 9'3", I can't read it. It's blurry. It's not acceptable. So like, I'm like, hey, I can't read this shit. And I'm talking to people in my office, and they're like, yeah, that lady, she's really old, and everything she sends is blurry. And I was like, well, why? Like, what's going on here? And I reach out, and at the time in November, she's like, well, try this one. And then it was better. So I was like, all right, whatever. Moving on. And then I sent another email to her a week later that was ordering more stuff. And she replied, ha ha ha, that totally happens to me too. And at that moment, I should have known something was up, because I was like, I sent her an email that was like, here's my order. And she was like, me too, that totally happens. And I'm like, so then at this point, I turned to my people in the office. I'm like, are we sure that Nancy's, is everything all right? Like, what's the deal? And they're like, yeah, I don't know. But like, I just ignored that email because it doesn't make any fucking sense. Fast forward to the beginning of the year, I'm ready to do another order, and time's short. Like, I don't ever have a lot of time to do shit. I'm always late. Let's go. So I send her this, and she sends me back a blurry detail again. And I'm like, Nancy, it's blurry. And this time I didn't just say it's blurry. I'm like, this has happened before. Other people in my office, this has happened. Like, what can we do to resolve the problem? And I feel like that's a pretty reasonable request. And she responds and she says, it's impossible. The manufacturer sends that to me, and if I ask them to be clearer, they just send me the same thing again. And I was like, okay, but I can't read it, so I can't approve it. And then, I let her know, and I'm like, Nance. Wait.
Big Nance.
Like, it's not impossible because you fixed it in November. So it's been fixed before. So I just need you to know that it is possible. And I'm frustrated because I'm low on time. I don't have time for this shit. And she responds in some fashion that's just like, well, I don't know what else to do. They just send me the same thing over and over, and I can't do anything about it. And I was like, well, who can I talk to at the manufacturer? Like, can I circumvent you? Because this is a rep. I'm like, can I just help me? Like, I can't order something if you don't do this. And then she switches to all caps mode and sends me a series of emails. And one of them says, I think it's my scanner. And that's all it says. And then I'm like, well, oh no, because why would a scanner be involved?
Yeah, why does the scanner need to be involved?
Like, what is going on here? So, and at this point, I've switched from being frustrated to being like all in on investigating the situation and finding out what this lady's doing. And I'm at this point, I'm like, I'm gonna have to go to her house and troubleshoot her computer. And so I'm like, well, I don't like. She said it was 2 all caps. It was one, I think it's my scanner, and the second one was, will you send me the file? And I replied, and I was like, what do you want me to send you? And she's like, will you send me the file that I sent you? And I'm like, well, why on earth would I have to do that? You emailed me the file. If you would like to review the file you emailed, just go and work on it. And I was like, and I sent an email of basically like, I don't understand why I would possibly need to send you the file that you sent me. And she said, well, I don't have access to it because I scanned it in and sent it to you. And then some things clicked into place with the weird attachments. And so what I found, so I'm like, I think Nancy is getting a PDF that looks beautiful. And I think she's printing it. And then I think she's going to her HP printer and the printer, and she's putting in my email, like with the little thing, and the printer is emailing it to me. She's not even like scanning it. I don't know why you would scan it back to yourself, but whatever. She's using a printer to scan a document and send it to me. And this is what's happening. And I get to the bottom of it and I'm just like, are you scanning this? And she says, yes, my email's private. And I'm like, I don't know how to respond to that. Right. Like, I was just like, okay, like you're testing me. You're fucking testing me, Nance. Like, I desperately need something to get approved. And then I responded in a not kind way. And I basically said, Nancy, this is just outdated and this is not how this should be done. I'm like, you can take a PDF, you can print it to a PDF, you can do a lot of things to avoid the scanner. I don't know what's happening.
Or you can just send me the file that was provided to you.
Her email's private. Did you miss that part? Like, I don't know. So like,
it's a business. It's a business. It's not private. Like, no.
And you got to realize, like, I'm working on the backdrop of like, this is big dollar value stuff I'm trying to get going. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? So I sent an email that's not particularly nice, but the main thing is just like, this is outdated. Please help get this. Dead silence. This was last week. And then Friday I emailed and I'm like, what's the update for the detail? And she responds and she said, you are a very abrasive person. And I had to take a few days to decompress from our interactions. And if you would like to go forward without the abrasive attitude, then we can do this. And I get it that I wasn't maybe kind, but also I am the victim in this situation. like I just want a detail I could read, right? So I'm like, I'm out. I go to another lady in my office who was talking to her, and I'm like, you have to deal with this. I'm done. And she gets a hold of her, and she's like, do you understand how bad this looks? And she sends her the file, and Nancy opens it up and is like, oh no. And it's like, yes, we cannot read it. We've been telling you. And then magically, suddenly I get stuff that works, right? That's not, I thought that was the end of the story, which was like a frustrating story, but that was Tuesday. And then we sent our final order today to Nancy. Man, we got an auto reply that said, Nancy's no longer with us. So there's a lot of questions going around my office because everyone knows about this whole story. They know that I've been called abrasive. They know that across the board. One, no one actually knows if Nancy has passed away or if she was fired or if she quit. No. But this story really went south today because it was like the people in my office are like, yeah, Nick got Nancy fired, which maybe
you're a fucking piece of shit, man.
Like maybe I got her fired. I don't know. I don't really know how to feel about it, and I hope I at least get some clarity on it. But this is just what's happened to me in the last like 2 weeks, and I'm just like, I got this stuff today. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Nancy's not even in the business anymore. Yeah. To be fair, I've talked to her on the phone, and she sounds like she's at least 80 years old. So
maybe she retired.
Maybe.
Or she died.
I don't. She's not with us. So like,
I mean, in this scenario, if she actually is 80, like, she's not retiring. So like, maybe she did pass away.
Maybe.
I mean, in any situation or scenario, like maybe it's like a family business and they're like, we just have to, this is Chad's grandma and he's gotta, she's here and like, yeah, who
I'm assuming
knows?
She's not dead. I think they would have said, like they said, like there's multiple emails. One is pretty is like, she's not with us anymore. And I was like, well, that's not good. And then there's another one that's like, she's not with this company anymore. And you're like, all right, well,
yeah,
maybe she's still out there. But I've never really been accused of getting someone fired before. It's like, yeah, Nick got involved and got that lady canned. Yeah. It's like, well, that wasn't the goal. I just wanted to be able to read the piece of paper I was being sent.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty heavy.
Yeah, I told you it takes some turns because at first I was just like, this lady. I didn't know the people actually used a printer to send emails, but you can do that, I guess.
Yeah, if you're old.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, I will tell you a story in turn. This is very recent. I, work with a lot of auto auctions around the country, and one of my auto auctions that I just was at this week, we've had a lot of turnover at the auction, and like, that's to be expected. I mean, it's a thankless job and it is a lot of work, speaking from experience, because I have done it at one point in time in my life. It's a lot of work and it's not a great paying position. These people that kind of like, I'm not power tripping when I say this, but like kind of answer to me and have to, do what I ask. Right. Mm. But it's very important to have somebody that's kind of in lockstep with you, that understands kind of your expectations and what needs to be happening on a week-to-week basis for everything to flow smoothly and allow you to make as much money as you possibly can in a given run of cars that you're going to run, right? But I had a guy that was working for me that was like very good at what he did, but also kind of creepy. He was from Florida, which I don't know if that says anything about him, but he would just like throw out like very strange things where I'd like send him an email, very basic stuff. Like, let's do this with this car. We need to get this over to a shop, like send this over to a dealer for this. And then he'd be like, great, I'll do this for you. Can't wait to see you next. I miss you.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just wouldn't respond to it. And then like he'd show up and he always wore nothing but purple, like purple shirt, purple pants, purple shoes. I'm like, too much fucking purple, man. Like less purple. Like interject. I don't know. Mix some green.
Fucking Joker over here.
What else? What else? Like yellow, I think mixes with purple. Like a little bit of something else. He's a very nice guy, but like a little eccentric, right? He had a cutout of himself in the QB that he was in. So like I have my
his cubicle. There was a cutout of him.
Yeah. Yeah. A full like, well, actually like half body cutout with him and his cat. What
was he doing?
Holding his cat in this cutout. And when I initially met him, I was like, this is odd.
Serial killer behavior.
Well, and I asked him, and I was like, what's up with the cutout, man? And he was just like, oh, I just love my cat so much. And my wife did this for me. And I was like, got it. But also, like randomly, he's like a master mechanic. And I didn't believe him because he came into my office like early on in our working relationship. And he like laid down some like very specific mechanical issues with like a couple of the cars that we had. And they were like brand specific things, and he just like rattled off information about it more than I even know. Like I'm not a car guy. Like if this is a means to an end for me, you know, and he just like rattled off shit, and I was just like, I think that he knows what he's talking about, because like to be in the industry, you have to at least understand, you know, what's going on. Yeah. Sure. But then he was like, I came in one week and he was just like, Jared, check out this car that is in our lobby. I built it from the ground up. And it was this fucking, like Frankenstein's monster VW bus, like from the, like an old school bus. But then he had like cut it in half and then like completely extended it, and then welded pieces together to make it like a long, like the best way to describe it is like a long bed fucking VW bus. So it was like extra long, and it was Ninja Turtle green. He had painted it. And it was incredible. And I was just like, and I was looking at it, and like it was like professionally done. And I was like, you fucking did this by yourself? And he was just like, yeah, man, I did it.
Me and my cat
fucking did it. So anyways, just a little bit, because he was an eccentric, interesting individual, but he left. He went back to Florida, and the previous time, before this last time, he came into my office and he was like, I'm leaving. I'm going back to Florida. I can't stand Colorado. I gotta go. I just unloaded and told everyone where this is taking place at. But I was like, I get it, man. You know, you got to do what's best for your family and you. Like, good luck. And he was like, I will miss you. And I was like, okay, yeah,
thank you.
See you later. So, anyways,
you didn't tell him that you'd miss him too.
No.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, good luck, man. So, anyways. The higher ups at the auction were like, well, we got to find somebody else that's going to do it. And like, we've really had a lot of problems with people aside from Purple People Eater. We had like a lot of problems with people prior to him. Sure. And so, I'm told before I come this last week, I was just there this week, I'm told that we got a new person, right? And so I walk into the office on Monday, and this woman greets me. Let's say her name is Karen, whatever. Yeah. And she's like, hey, how's it going? Like, I'm going to be handling the account for you. I'm so excited to work with you. And I'm like, yeah, great. And so I go into the office that they provide for me while I'm there, and I set up my computer and get ready to go. And she just runs into the office and sits down. And she's like
next to you? Like
well, across from me.
Sure.
Like I'm at a desk, and she's like sitting across from me at the desk. And she's like, so tell me about you. And I was like, yeah, you know, I mean, I'm a remarketing manager. I've been working here for, you know, a little under 2 years. I'm from Salt Lake City. And she's like, Salt Lake City? I'm like, yes, Salt Lake City. And she's like, have you ever been to the balloon festival in
Park City?
No, in she was like, have you ever been to the balloon festival in New Mexico? And I was like, no, I have not. I guess
you got to drive down to the balloon festival in New Mexico?
In Santa Fe. And she's like, I just was there. And I was like, okay, cool. Is it sweet? And she's like, oh, it's beautiful. You know, it was in October. And she's like telling me all this shit about the balloon festival. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, I have no
socializing,
but in a weird way, right? Like, I don't know what the equivalent to that is, but
I mean, I agree it's weird, but I think some people, even people that I work with, really just do the thing.
Yeah.
Like they really like
it was just like
I have a hard time with it because I'm just like, I have so much to do. What are we talking about?
Well, but what does Salt Lake City and Santa Fe, New Mexico have in common?
She must think they're a lot closer, like because of the Four Corners, I guess.
Yeah,
She's just like, you're like a hop skipping away from driving 10 hours to Santa Fe to go to the balloon festival. And it's like, we have one in Park City. I don't think you've been to that one either.
No.
I went when I was like 8. It was cool then.
Yeah, I'm sure it's sweet. I was just like taken aback by that. But anyways, that's secondary. That was like a weird start to the conversation. Everything works fine. We're talking about it. And I'm like, I'm going to give you a cheat sheet, more or less. It's an SOP. It's, like I'm going to give you all the things that we expect you to do for us on a weekly basis. And then I also gave her like some of my specific criteria that I like to happen on a weekly basis, right? And because I've done the job before, I know that like a lot of people are assholes, and I try to be as like nice and agreeable as I possibly can be. And she's like, I don't think we're gonna have any problems. Let me get your phone number just in case you need me, if I need anything from you. And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, feel free to give me a call. If you need anything. And so I get on my flight back to Salt Lake City. And as I'm getting off my flight, I get a phone call. And it's like 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. And it's a number I don't recognize. And so I'm like, I'm not going to answer it because like, I don't know who the fuck this is. And I'm not like that kind of guy. If you need to get a hold of me, shoot me a text or leave me a message and I'll get back to you. Right. And then I look at my phone and I've got like 9 missed calls with 9 messages attached to it.
9 voicemails?
9 voicemails.
Fill up your box.
And it's like, I just am like walking through the terminal to get to my car to get home.
Never had 9 voicemails before. You're just like, whoa, what the fuck's
exactly.
going on over here?
And so I'm listening to it and it's like, hey, this is Karen. I'm wondering what you want to do with this 225,000 mile Volkswagen Jetta that is got 2 different doors on it and is clapped out. Do you want me to run this through the shop to make sure that it can be certified? And I'm like thinking to myself, like, no, because it's like so fucked up. Like, we're going to sell it as is and make like $200 on it. And then it's like, over and over again, it's the same thing. Hey, it's Karen. Wondering if you could take a look at this one for me. It's got 375,000 miles on it. And I'm just wondering if you want our mechanics to take a look at it. And I'm like, what about the 2023 or the 2022 cars that I have that have like 25,000 miles? Do you want those to be looked at? Like, I mean, maybe she just assumed that I did want those to be looked at. So that I was like kind of taken aback by that, but I'm like,
it was first day on the job, right?
It was her second week on the job, but I had met her for the first time this last week. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm turned off. I just took 2 flights to get back home. It's almost 7 o'clock here by the time I get home. I'm not dealing with this tonight. So I get home, do my fucking thing, like, hang out. And then I get up in the morning and like I'm doing an auction. I'm repping an auction digitally online. And I get a call from the same number. And I don't answer it because I'm busy. And then I call her back because I know that it's her at this point in time. And she's like, I've called you so many times. Like, what have you been doing? And I'm like, living my life and like working and doing other things. And she's like, I just have a lot of questions about all those cars. And I was like, I'm just going to tell you right now, all of those things that you called me and left me voicemails on, I don't want to do anything with them. And like, I understand that maybe you haven't read our SOP in terms of what we want to do. I would recommend that you do that because that's going to outline all the things that I want you to do. And I tried to be as nice as I possibly could. And she's like, okay, yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Yeah. It'll get much better as days go by. I'll understand everything. And that was Wednesday.
It's better.
Today, just phone call after phone call from this woman. And she's just like, what do you want me to do with this? Like, do you think that this is a good eligible car? What's the price that you want to put on this car? And I'm like, I do this all online. Like, it's all there for you. Like, I literally refresh the page after I put prices in, and it will almost instantaneously update it to you. Like, are you not seeing the prices? She's like, oh, no, I see them. And I'm like, okay. So we don't need to talk this much. Like, I don't know what's going on. So I guess, not as crazy as your story, but
dealing with people is unique.
I'm either going to love this woman or it's going to be the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I appreciate, like, I've never had this where someone is so, like, plugged in, attention to detail type of person, which is a good thing because, like, it fills in my deficiencies. If I miss something, I know that this person is on top of it.
Something, but also they're asking you to make all the decisions, which is tough.
Well, no, it's my job to make all the decisions, but like that's why it's outlined the way that it is. Like, I'm giving you like pages and pages and pages of info of what we want you to do. You don't got to call me on every single thing.
Some people are just extra.
Yeah,
and it's this is a really short story. I got an email. This person had been trying to get a hold of me on like right before the new year, 29th or something, like after Christmas, maybe 27th or something like that. I hadn't responded. And then they emailed the other person in my office January 3rd and said, we haven't heard from Nick since last year, which I think is cheating. Like, because that sounds bad.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's been a year. Literally, it's been so long. And he sends it to me and he was just like, you literally haven't responded in years. And I was like, well, that's fucking bullshit because it's been 4 days. But okay, they have not, true. They have not heard from me since 2024. But you're fucking with the numbers, people.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I don't know, man. It's a crapshoot. Everybody's different though, and that like kind of highlights how difficult this kind of shit
Working
is.
with people are,
yeah. I feel like you just need to have like a baseline understanding of technology, though, if you're gonna like do it. Going back to your situation where it's like,
just,
I know that's like, maybe a tough thing for a lot of people to like pill to swallow, but like I don't think that it benefits you to be rigid and not willing to evolve. And I know that like we say that as like relatively young people in the grand scheme of things, and we come from like a drastically different generation where like technology has been like a part of our lives pretty much from the get-go, and like there's some people that don't have that luxury. But like I don't know, I think about it often where I'm like, likely with the turning of time and the way that technology progresses, there's definitely going to be something that is going to be so foreign to us and difficult for us as people now to wrap our minds around when we are 70 to 80 years old, if we make it. And like, I don't think about it as like, oh, I'm going to be super resistant to that and like reject it wholesale. I mean, there might be some scenarios where you could look at it and be like, oh yeah, this is like a unredeemable piece of tech that is, further pushing Skynet type situations. But by and large, if it's something that's like a productivity technology that's going to help us be better at our jobs or, cut the fat in one way or another, like curmudgeon Jared is going to be a curmudgeon on lots of things where they're like, we don't play with controllers anymore. I'm going to be over here being like, controllers are the way to play games. But for other things, when it comes to workspace, it's like you adapt or die.
Well, I think the problem and the thing that pushed me over the edge on this one was it's just like, I can't read what you're sending me.
Right.
So like, if you have a process that's not ideal and I can read what you send me, knock yourself out.
Right.
Like, absolutely great. But I'm just like, And it's like, well, it's impossible to fix it. It's like, well, we are at a stalemate because I can't read it.
But the argument is this: it's like it's a resistance to new technology in that way, where you're taking like you're getting an email, you're printing it out, and then you're trying to scan it to someone.
It's just
where it's like that is like so redundant and like this is not the way things work, and being frustrated about that and being like, well, this is the way that I learned how to do it and I don't want to do it any other way. That's my point, right? Like you can have your opinions about the way that the world works now and the way that the world will work in the future, but that does not give you an out in a workplace to just reject that wholesale
for sure
because you can't learn how to do it, you know?
Well, we will hopefully, I'm going to need to get some clarity on the situation at some point.
Hopefully she's still alive.
Yeah, hopefully.
But then also she got fired.
Fired maybe? Like, well, like, did they go read the emails and did they find out? Did they not know? Did they not know what was happening? And they're like, you don't know how to save.
That's pretty brutal though. Like if it's like a recurring thing where it's like, Nancy, we taught you how to fucking, send an email with a PDF attachment multiple times. And like, you're just not getting it. Like, then that's one thing. But for a company to be like, oh, you were scanning all this shit? You're fucking gone. That's another thing.
I'm just wondering if I opened up a box where people suddenly were like, wait, what's going on over here? Because in the emails today, they're like, we're just now trying to get caught up. She was on hundreds of jobs. And I was like, hundreds? Like, what do you mean hundreds? Like, so like, are they did they like open up a box and they're like, oh no, I don't know.
Nancy is just like drawing the schematic.
Like, it's just like, fuck, I don't know.
They're looking at the fucking expense report and it's like, why are we spending so much on fucking toner and paper?
Why you always out of
Nancy's over here?
Why-
She's just scanning and fucking printing everything.
The magenta budget's through the roof.
She's like sending emails, like composing in emails, printing it out, and then putting it in people's mailboxes and their offices.
I don't know, man.
I hope this emails find you well.
I hope I don't ever have to update this story, but this is where we're at.
Yeah.